planning to join, Lord, I pray that you may be with them so that they can hasten and join so that they can be able to learn. Be with us as we begin, for this is my humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So I just want to take this opportunity once again to welcome each one of you to this Family Life seminar that has been prepared by Greater SDA Church here in Nakuru. It is a Family Life based seminar based on the theme Grace-Based Parenting. It is a series that is running for 7 online sessions, and then we will be able to have 1 physical session. So this is our 3rd session in this particular series. We've done the first one where we were looking at the preconception, the second one, the caregiving, and today we are going to look at the commanding and boundary setting stage that is specifically for children aged 2 to 5. So once again, welcome to this seminar. Now, I just want to turn our attention to the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 6, and it says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." It is not by accident that God put this particular text in his word, because he knew when he created Adam and Eve that he will charge them with the responsibility to go forth and bear children and fill the earth. And therefore, he needed them to also learn that depending on the way they will be able to train their children, that is what the children are going to become. As I had already mentioned, this particular series is dealing with children aged 2 to 5, and this is the period where we are setting out a path for them. We are creating a foundation for them. We are teaching them how boundaries look like. We are teaching them about routine. We are teaching them about safety. One thing is certain about this age period is that age bracket is that the children really like to try. Yeah, they really like to experience. But the question we need to ask ourselves, are we going to allow them to learn from experience? This is not the time. We need to be able to teach them the right things to do, where no means no and a yes is a yes. So I welcome each one of you. And also, just as Ellen White says in her works, that parents are called to demonstrate love that reflects Christ. Think about how much Christ loves us. Yeah, he was empathetic, he was compassionate, he was willing to listen. Yeah, and through this, he was also able to demonstrate redemptive discipline, and also his teaching was aimed to restore us back to our Father rather than merely punishing us. So this is a very interesting session that we are going to have, and we have prepared several activities. Of course, we will have polls that we are going to respond to. So when you see a poll, kindly give your feedback. So before we begin, I just want to welcome our panelists once again. We have with us Dr. John Oteyo. Kindly say hi, Daktari.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for this, and I'm ready, Miriam. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. We also have with us Mrs. Anisha Otieno. Kindly say hi.
Good evening, members. So good to be here, and thank you, Miriam.
All right, thank you. So these have been our panelists from the first session that we had. Dr. Oteyo is a seasoned psychologist. He's also a family counselor and an expert in child development, while Mrs. Anisha Otieno is a child therapist specializing in childhood behavior, play therapy, and positive parenting strategies. So we are listening to persons who are seasoned in this particular field, and at the same time they are Christians, and they try to do their work incorporating the Christian beliefs as well. So once again, members, I just want to remind us of the rules. We have a rapporteur who is at the back of this whole process, and he will be taking in all the questions that you have. Please put in your questions in the chat. And let us be able to focus our questions to this age bracket of 2 to 5 years. We once again welcome each one of you. Let us believe and pray before we begin with our first segment. Dear Jesus, we have set the ground. We are ready to begin. We pray that you may begin with us. Help us to have a fruitful conversation in this seminar, and may your name be glorified in everything that we do and everything that we say. For this is my humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Commanding stage, age 2 to 5. This stage has often been defined as, if you look at age 2, terrible 2, because this is the period where parents tend to get so tired with their children. They even wonder why they brought this child into this world, because the children are usually referred to as troublesome, uncontrollable, and we don't know what to do with them. And at the same time, when the child gets to about 3 years or 4, to school, so that at least that parenting responsibility can be pushed to someone else to also participate in that particular process. And that teachers in many institutions get involved here. So we just want to listen from Dr. Oteyo. Help us understand where this commanding stage fits in the parenting journey, and how does the parent successfully transition here from the caregiving stage. Over to you, Dr.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miriam. Confirm that you could hear me.
Yes, I can
Hello.
hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm locked from Mogadishu, Somalia. So we thank God for the peace that He has given us. I have to confess that Saturday I was reminded of the area church, because thank God that three of my colleagues were also Adventists. And we were able to fellowship together. So 3 elders and 1 deaconess. So it was so interesting, where we presented Bible study lesson and the sermon at the same time. Yeah, so I have to begin that parenting is a journey. It's not a quick fix, in the sense that we began by looking where it began. The journey began at conception, and here sometimes the scholars call it image-making stage, where parents will prepare our hearts and expectations that we are receiving a new one. And I think we went through to demonstrate certain things that we need to do to ensure that there is that early bonding and blueprint that is created. Then we moved to the next one, which was caregiving, or the nurturing stage, whereby we have said that it is more on building the basic trust and meeting the immediate physical needs. So the role of the parent here, because we are talking about that depending infancy, who solely depends on their safety, their comfort, on the parents. And this now transits to the commanding or authority stage, as correctly put by the host, a stage where, as parents, we become a loving authority to figure who sets the boundary and teaches safety. Then you can agree with me, and from the developmental psychology and science, this teaches the build to one another. It is incremental. So you find once successively the child has come and met the developmental tasks of these three stages, he moves to the next stage we are calling coaching, or sometimes we call it coaching and education, which is a very, is also called an interpretative stage, because the child is able now to explain the world. And our major work is to assist the child to interpret life. And once he has successfully got this, he moves into the world of interdependency, the world of cognitive negotiation, whereby they are negotiating their relationship as they seek autonomy, renegotiating the relationship with their parents, with their peers. In other words, they are coexisting. She is going now to the social world and able to make a relationship as much as he or she is an individual. And then lastly, you transit by age 18, we call it also the departure stage. The child now is moving away and becoming independent of adult supervision, direct adult supervision, and now they are on consultant stage. So basically, what we are trying to say is the commanding stage does not exist in isolation. It exists in between two area stages and three more that are remaining. Now, coming to the commanding stage. In the commanding stage, the psychological tension is in two ways. Between more than 2 years to 3 years, the child, according to Erik Erikson, who proposed his psychosocial theory, he said that the child is struggling with autonomy versus shame, whereby the child tests their separate will and they want to attempt physical tasks independently. But we said when we correlate these together with segment fluid, this is the anal stage, whereby the center of pleasure is the anus and the child experiences the first clash between personal pleasure, which is experiencing or retaining the West, and the social rules, which are now toilet training. So, if the child successively goes through these stages, you'll find the child now is able, one, to acquire toilet training and achieve physical milestones based on their will. So basically, 2 to 3 years, there is a pattern that the child is having of self-regulation. Because the pleasure is, I need to experience the West, but there is a social expectation. Such that if we assist the child to learn these social expectations without demanding rigid perfection, the child is able to feel that he is autonomous. But if we spank them For example, the child wanted to move towards the potty and unfortunately didn't reach at the potty. We spank them. That creates the aspect of shame and doubt, which is a negative ego weakness. And most of the time, we'll be able to see in a few minutes it affects that child, even in his adult personality. Then between now 3 to 5, the child moves to the stage we call initiative versus gritty. This is where the child begin initiating their own games, assigning themselves certain social roles, and of course they ask endless questions to explore the world. This is the time the child keeps on asking the mother, the father, and sometimes it is very irritating. And naturally speaking, if we don't have grace, we can shout and yell to the child, "Onanisumbua." But I wish you know the impact that we are going to cause to this child. And at this stage, as the children are exploring, we are not looking at the ultimate result, which can be messy, but we are looking at the process. We appreciate the process. And if we are able to get that, the child gets the initiative to explore. If that doesn't happen, or we spark them, we reprimand them harshly, the child will develop guilt, which will affect their later personality. And from the psychosocial, this is the stage, we call it the phallic stage, where the child shifts attention to their body differences and forms a deep emotional attachment to the parents, especially the that is the especially the opposite parent. That is the child will become so the child will become so close to the father, and while the boy will come so close to the mother. And in fact, Sigmund Freud becomes a bit crude when he says there is always rivalry between the boy and the dad, and there is rivalry between the mother and the daughter. And if that is not done so well, there is a likelihood that that child may develop a problem. So basically, what are we talking about? We as parents, we are supposed to assist our children in achieving autonomy by guiding them through choices that are guided safely, by bracing their exploration and curiosity. But at the same time, we give them parents the training. In other words, we assisted them to express, but at the same time, we give them certain limits to teach them about safety. If we don't do that, the negative ego weakness is likely to develop, such that the child will internalize shame, will internalize doubt, will internalize guilt. And that affect his adult personality later. Because this is a child who is likely to be excessively secretive. Because shame is an emotion we develop by knowing other people have known what we did wrong. So, because of that, the child is likely to be very secretive and is likely to develop the lying behavior because of the shame that he got when he was young. And for the children who get fixated, especially on the anal stage, you see, anal stage we associated with dirtiness, especially in the African context. That child is likely to develop perfectionist tendency. And you see, perfectionist tendency can be negative because it makes a person not to take risks. And it makes a person, when he's a grown up, to develop what we call imposter syndrome, where you are so much qualified, but you look at yourself as a fraud, especially when you are beginning your profession. So what do we need to do as parents as we transit through this? One, please use limited choices. Give your child choices, but we limit them. We give them specific routine and roles they need to do. Please praise the effort, not the outcome. The outcome can be messy. But if the child made an attempt to do what he was able to do, we say you can award, you can reinforce them through shaping. That is, you are reinforcing the approximate of the behavior. Then another thing is normalize curiosity of the child that is centered around the reproductive organs. Instead of laughing at them, you will find like a small girl imitating a boy, especially in pissing, because he's seeing boys, their pissing is trajectory. And you find like a small guy doing the same because he cannot understand why is he not able to do that. And unfortunately, we abused them. Uko na tabia mbaya. Look for a way that you can talk. And my sister is going to say, when we are talking to the children, calm down to their level. Kneel down and talk to them. Don't talk down, top down, because you are intimidating them. You can go down and talk to them at their level and explain to them why they're different from the gentleman. So, and you can reframe the mess. Tell them it's a process, a time is coming when they will be able to do that. So basically that's what I wanted to say, that there are psychological tensions in this one. Commanding stage is in between the stages of parenting. There are psychological tensions that we need to assist the children to overcome, such that they develop healthy personality and temperaments, and we have a way of doing it. Miriam, back to you.
Thank you so much, Daktari, for shedding light on how the commanding stage fits into the parenting journey. And it's very, very interesting. I just remembered the way my daughter usually, it's like we are rivals. Anytime I am called the queen, she complains so much and she says she's the one who is the queen. And me, I am I am just a princess. So this resonates with me so much. But let's see, Anisha, what is the core goal of this particular stage, and what role do mothers play in instilling discipline without being harsh, and what is the child's role in this particular stage? Over to you, Anisha.
Thank you so much, Miriam. Thanks so much, Daktari, for that. And welcome everybody once again. And today is a very interesting topic, and I hope you stay till the end. And also that if you have questions, you can share so that we can learn together. Now, the core goals and roles in this commanding stage. And Daktari has explained well, Eric Erickson's the stage that is autonomy versus shame and doubt. And he's also explained the initiative versus guilt. This is where there's lots of exploration. And Miriam, I like how you've called them the trouble twos, or the terrible twos, or the double troubles. This is where all hell break loose, and you're going to find them in your drawers. I don't know, they have this obsession with opening drawers and pulling things out. I don't know if you parents have experienced that. For some reason, they just, especially when they start crawling, they just have to take things out and throw them everywhere. And this is where the exploration stage is coming in. They want to know, what is this? What does it do? Why does it look like this? And when you look at the pre-operational stage, this is where they're using the words, they're starting to use words. They can call mama, dada. They can maybe say a few, those who are very quick can say a few sentences. They can point something that they want, and they can actually use language and symbols and images. But also at this stage, we're looking at from 2 to 5 years is when they also lack logical reasoning. So if you give a glass, if you have two glasses which hold same amount of liquid or fluid, and one is taller or narrow and the other one is bigger and wider, they will not tell the difference that the content is the same. They will think that maybe you've shortchanged them and they will cry. They lack logical reasoning at this particular moment. Now, if they lack logical reasoning, I want you to go back to the brain, and it's really important that we understand a child's developing brain at this particular moment. Now, I want you to see the brain as developing from down going up. So I'm going to use them at the downstairs brain and the upstairs brain. Now, the brain is the last organ to fully develop. So by the end of gestation, it is the only organ that has not fully developed. It hasn't finished developing. The lungs are okay if a child is born full term, the heart is working well, all the other aspects, all the other organs in the body are working well, but the brain is not finished its work. It is not finished developing. It develops later. So look at this brain of this child as developing from downstairs going to upstairs. And the downstairs brain, I want you to look at it as the primitive brain. Its main work is to keep us safe. The upstairs brain is where you're doing the logical part of reasoning, all right? And so if this child's brain has not fully developed, so there is no way I'm going to expect this child to reason with me, right? They don't have it. That part of the brain is not yet developed. It will be unfair of me to ask or to demand that this child understands me. Now, our biggest mistake we make is assuming that at this age, discipline means control. All right, that's where you're going to stop them from doing what they're doing. You want to control, they're going to be drawn towards things that are actually hurting them, things that are dangerous, things that are, you'll be so scared that where this kid, I need to take control, I need to stop them from doing this. And for some of us, relating to how we were parented, we believe that this is the best time to inflict or discipline, control this child before they run wild. In reality, the goal at this particular stage, guys, is not obedience. I know that sounds controversial. The goal here is not the child to obey you, but the goal here is self-regulation. And now I know you're wondering, Anisha, what are you saying? I mean, you and the child must be regulated. That is the goal. The core goal at this stage is self-regulation, both for the parent, especially the mother, and the child. Okay, now from a neuroscience perspective, as I'm saying, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, that is the reasoning, decision making, as I was explaining, this is the prefrontal cortex, is still very mature, right? So this young child, your baby, needs to borrow regulation from you as a mother, from you as a father, from you as a caregiver, so that they can regulate themselves. Remember, I've said that the part of the brain is not fully developed. So for me to regulate myself, I need to be aware at some point. There's something I need to be aware of. Okay. Please allow me to share my screen if you don't mind, so I can show you this. I hope I can.
Yeah, I think you can be able to share.
Okay, just give me a minute. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yes, we can.
Yes.
You can be able to
All
put
right.
it on slideshow.
Where is that? Okay, hang on. Okay, so now that one has gone. Sorry, it's gone back. Hang on, guys. Okay, I'm just gonna put it like that if you don't mind, because I'm having a problem doing that.
That's
All
okay,
right.
that's okay.
Just understanding the brain, if you can see it, brain. So the upstairs brain is dealing with thinking, reasoning, problem solving, and planning. The downstairs brain is always reactive. It's sensory processing, it's seeking safety, and it's constantly analyzing the environment to check if it is safe. Now, it is still very mature. So if my child is having a disciplinary issue, if my child needs to understand me, I need to command this child. I need to, and I'm not going to just to enforce rules. I'm going to become a co-regulator. Your role as a mother, I will come back to that again in a minute. Your role as a mother or as a father is going to now become a co-regulator. You're going to become a teacher. You're going to become a coach. You're going to become a guide. Okay, so that when a child is throwing tantrums because they cannot have a biscuit for dinner, or they're not, there's something they wanted in the supermarket, and they're throwing themselves down on the floor, causing all these chaotic behaviors in the supermarket, you are going to help this child remain calm, and you're going to teach this child what to do. Okay, because remember, this child is not being manipulative. I know most people believe that when a child is misbehaving, they're being manipulative. There is a point where they can be manipulative, and this we'll talk more about. But at this particular moment, we are looking at the child's developing brain that is not fully capable of understanding and reasoning and having assumption, or having this thought, or having even being considerate. They can't do that. Biologically, they can't do that. So the emotional brain is overpowering their thinking brain. The thinking brain, the upstairs brain, is not fully developed, so their emotional brain is overpowering their thinking brain. And this is where you, as a parent, you're going to guide this child. You're going to teach this child. You are going to be a co-regulator. Remember, the biggest goal here at this particular moment is self-regulation for you and for the child. Now, your role as a mother is to calmly hold the boundaries. Yes, you are going to hold the boundaries while helping this child manage the emotion. How do you hold boundaries with young children? Please stick to your no. So you don't say a yes because you're attracting attention. I've seen mothers in the supermarket where a child is crying for something that you did not plan to buy, but because you don't want the attention, you don't want the commotion, people are looking at you, and you don't want to be judged because you feel judged when people look at you like, oh, this parent is not doing a good job. That's why the child is misbehaving. And people are always quick to say, what's wrong? So it's like, there's nothing wrong with the child. The child is doing what they need to do. Their brain need to understand. They need to explore. They need to know if this thing they can have it or not. It's your point. It's your it's your time, and it's your responsibility as a parent to lead this child without thinking, without even being afraid of what people are going to say. They're going to judge you or criticize your parenting skill. It's not important what they think. What is important is that your child remain regulated, that you remain regulated. So, for example, they want a biscuit. You're going to hold your boundary, and you said you're going to have your biscuit after you have your dinner. All right? And this helps the child. They will know that you mean what you say by your tone. Be firm, sio mkali. You can be firm but still nice. I hope you understand that. You can be firm but nice. So the boundary remains firm no matter what, but the relationships remain intact. So let me go again through what is the role of the parent at this particular stage. Your biggest role is self-regulation. You're not going to assume that discipline now here means control. No, you are going to regulate, because these little human beings, they are going to try your patience. They're going to make you feel like you're a bad mother, you're a bad father. But you are going to try as much as possible. You're going to learn the skills to remain calm and be self-regulated, because kids are going to learn from you. Someone once said that children never really listen to their parents, but for sure they never ever fail to imitate them. So the way you're going to deal with this child when they're throwing a tantrum, yes, at 2 years old, they're going to deal with them as they're throwing this tantrum. They're trying to make you they're trying to do things they should not do, as they're testing their boundaries. In the same way, they're going to learn how to deal with issues when things affect them, when things overwhelm them, when they don't get their ways. They'll know that if you don't get your way, you scream. If you don't get your way, you throw yourself on the floor, you call names, you break things, you do whatever it is. Because again, that is mostly what we as parents we do. We find ourselves shouting, I said, keep quiet. What's wrong with you? Because that is also what we have learned. We were parented like that. But we can learn better, we can do better. So you are going to be calm, you're going to be regulated, and you're going to maintain your boundaries no matter what. No in-betweens, no in-betweens, stick to your rule. Now, the child's role at this stage, because the kids also have a role, their role now is going to learn how to wait, which you're going to help them through. They're going to learn how to cope with frustration. So if they don't get the biscuit, what do they do with it? How do they deal with that frustration? They have to learn, because at the end of the day, they're not going to stay under your roof forever. They're going to meet other people outside there. So they must learn. This child is also going to learn how to follow simple routines, which you are going to put in place. So for example, we don't have desserts until we've had our dinner. We don't have snacks in between if you're having or whatever. Some people give their babies snacks anytime they cry, they're giving snacks. Just like the other time we were saying that a baby cries, the mother stuffs the boob in their mouth. Like they think every time a baby is crying, they want food. So they're going to we're going to follow simple routines. For example, it's time to pick up your toys. It's time to go to sleep. It's time to do this. It's time to do this. They learn. And it's going to take, your part is going to be creating that consistency. We do this and this and this. Children work better when they have routine and they have consistency and they have a proper program that they're following. Not so much that intense whereby they don't have time to, to rest or it's too intense, but I'm talking about simple routine where they know this is time for sleeping, this is time for having a snack and whatever. And also at this particular moment, the child is going to learn how to respect limits. So money says no, no. And you realize even this before just they reach to, if some are still breastfeeding, they have this habit of biting the nipple so hard, and then they look at you straight in the eye as if to say utadu. It's almost like an evil look. And the moment you tell them stop, they listen. But if you don't teach them that, then they don't know how to respect limits. They don't know how to respect limits. So at 2 to 5, they can learn by you emulating it. And this is also the point where the child's role at this stage is to learn how to express emotions safely. They are going to learn how to express their needs so that their needs can be met without having to throw a tantrum. All right. And you are going to help them do this through you yourself self-regulating and you yourself using your words. So for example, they're crying about the biscuit. You tell them how it feels. How does it feel? Mention the emotions, mention the feelings that they might be experiencing. What's going on for them? Are they feeling hungry? Are they feeling frustrated that they're not having a biscuit? It must be really hard. It must be really tough for them to do that. And at this particular stage as well, when you look at child guidance, it says that the object of discipline is the training of the child self-government. So we are training this child, and we look further what discipline is and what punishment is, so that as we continue to talk. But now, remember that every loving boundary becomes practice for future self-control. We're going to self-regulate. We're going to show this baby's boundary, what boundary looks like, because we are training them. Thank you so much, and over back to you, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anisha. I was just, as you were talking, I was just reflecting back on the things I used to do. You know, some people in the supermarket, the way they really look at you, your child has just walked in straight to the juice aisle and he's already picked up the juice and opened it and is already drinking. And there you are like a mother. You only went there to pick diapers, no extra coin. What do you do? Those days, I don't think there was Fuliza. But I would just kneel down and say, no, we don't take from the aisle. And I would take it from his hand and he would cry, oh, mommy, 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 mommy. I said, no, no money to pay. Don't touch, don't take. It felt like, what? This child is going to cry, this child is going to feel bad. But thank you for affirming that I was doing the correct thing. Thank you so much, Anisha. So that is the role of a mother. You need to be firm, you need to be self-regulated, you need to teach boundaries, you need to correct at this point. This is where you begin correcting the tantrums, yeah? And the child will be able to learn what they need to do. Right now, you go to the supermarket, nobody touches anything on the aisle, yeah? because they learned over time that it is not right to pick what you have not budgeted for. Over to Dr. Dr. Oteyo. What is the role of the father? Because terrible too, ni kama the fathers are on the side, eh? They say, this child is a bit difficult. What is the role of the father? And there is a poll that is coming up. What is your biggest barrier to keeping, what is the biggest barrier keeping you from your ideal parenting structure? So you can be able to answer that poll, even as Dr. Teo is telling us something about the role of the fathers. Over to you, Daktari.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I was listening to Nisa. Thank you for all this information. In fact, my Vero parents, simply as correctly put by Anisha, the child is allowed in this stage is to test boundaries. And testing boundaries is not a rebellion. It is a developmental job requirement. The child is trying to find out, is my world safe? Are my parents reliable? What happens when I push? The way that you're going to respond. Either the child will learn adaptive and learn and emulate adaptive behavior or maladaptive behavior. And that is what we are saying. We respond with calm consistency, not yelling, not sparking. The child will learn to trust our leadership. It's not easy, and that's why we're talking about the grace. It's not easy, and as my sister is asking those who didn't learn, God has given us an opportunity to learn. Some of us were looking back and seeing some of the things we did, but we are saying we wish we knew, but we are saying it today. So, and as correctly put by my sister, apart from self-regulation, this is the stage for the path of purpose and a conscience. Very unfortunate that I get from parents, even in our Creator Church. I see a parent is there. The child is moving, going to the altar, moving and making a lot of noise, and the parent is just seated there, expecting Miriam to do it. My fellow parents were failing. This is your opportunity to assist the child get purpose. It is the beginning of instilling purpose on the child and conscience. That is to know what is right and what is wrong. Of course, historically or culturally, fathers sometimes wait until the children are older to get them involved. The fathers in the house, please, we need to change this. Those still well in this stage. The father must actively step out into the commanding stage. The father must provide a sense of security. The father must be a model of emotional regulation. This is very key. Sometimes we really shout. I was a victim. And I think for those who are in the other series, no wonder why people could run away when I'm coming home. 14 years down the line. But I thank God there was a need for a paradigm shift. And this is where, as a dad, you will enforce the rules. We are coming to that. You must be united. The two of you. You must be united, the two of you, such that you are speaking or you are doing the same. So as a dad, it is not your work to split, get united with the mother and reinforce with calm and authority, protective boundaries, safe boundaries. And when the father leads with love, it anchors the child's identity. There's another question that I want to answer that a dad and a mom is likely to take this. there's an aspect where we are talking about the tantalums. My first degree is in linguistics, and I need to explain this for the parents to understand. When children throw out tantalums, excuse me, it's not a rebellion, it's not a misbehavior. It tells you that the child lacks words to describe big emotions because comprehension precedes production. What do you mean by comprehension? Of linguistic comprehension? The child is able to understand instructions. The child is able to understand what is going on in the environment. But they are lacking the capacity to fully express themselves at that age. And this was correctly put by Anisha, that at the age of 2, the child has begun thinking symbolically, but he lacks logic. And because of that deficiency, is unable to express the emotions, the internal emotions going through them. And they want to communicate it to you. They throw tantalums. We cannot control the tantalums. But through our own self-regulation, this child will learn. And as he continues to grow, his linguistic competence will continue and he will mature such that he have other ways of expressing internal intense emotions, but not tantalums. But the moment you pity them, you are increasing the intensity of that emotion. And that moment you shout on them, you are increasing the intensity of that emotion, and they will continue throwing tantalums. Please, parents, we need to have that understanding, and that is why we are here. We need to understand at this stage, for us to communicate effectively, parents must understand 3 core linguistic mechanisms that are going through the child. The first one, we call it the first mapping. First mapping, this is where a child rapidly observes and maps new words after exposure. This is the stage the child keep on asking you, Mami, hii ni nini? Hii ni nini? And anarudia. You see, it irritates you. Wewe unanisumbua na umuone nafanya kazi. Mothers, my dads, that tells you the child is going through what we call first mapping. This is the stage the children are likely to commit what we call semantic errors. 2 of them, of extension and extension. Of extension, this is where they generalize. You find that the child learned that, for example, if you are having a doggy, he knows a small animal, 4-legged, is called a doggy. Akienda nyumbani kwa Josh, akiona ng'ondu, he calls this doggy. Don't shout at that child. That is as a maturation error, and they will overcome. I remember my son, we were traveling home, and I was driving. He's now in Form 4. And then the boy was not happy. And he could get excited when I'm overtaking the trailers. He would say, Daddy, you have beaten. You see, look at the Kiswahili, like broken Kiswahili. You have beaten the big cars. But I knew a trailer is not a big car. But I could know he's committing that semantic error. That is part of normal growing. And that's what we're saying. We reward the process, but not the outcome. This is also the time the child develops what we call elocutionary intent. The child is able to learn or to get certain things without necessarily being told. This is the time, for example, as a dad or a mom, you say, hey, leo kuna baridi. Unaona mtoto amekimbia kufunga mlango. Because ameanza interpretation is having a elocutionary intent. You know, getting things even when they are not explicitly said. And let me tell you, when we understand our children like that, we'll be able to communicate effectively. And I want to dispel what the people say that if children are exposed to mother tongue, they may not learn or may not be provisioned in another language. Let me tell you this. This is the stage if you have to expose our children to certain languages, expose them. We call it the critical period. Such that if a child is exposed to this critical period between 2 years and 11, where this commanding stage is, they are likely to achieve full fluency of that language. So, what am I saying as a dad? We need to encourage our children to explore with the limits. We need to encourage our children to take risk taking, especially on plays and physical boundaries with control. We need to reinforce rules with calm and unwavering, consistent authority. And that we give the child the purpose and the conscience that will assist them in life. Thank you, and back to you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Dr. for telling us that also the fathers have a role, and that at this particular stage, the children are undergoing a linguistic and developmental milestone. And I think this is also the time period where you can be able to talk to your children. I've seen so many parents, they just keep quiet. The child is doing things, they don't talk, they don't say anything. And I think for me, what worked is, the reading, the talking, the describing. Even if they point onto something, you put a name to that particular object. And I think that also helps them to understand what things are being called, how they need to be able to be called. Thank you so much for that, Daktari. Now we are moving on to the challenges that we face as parents. Now we have this family, the mother is working, the father is working, and they also have scenarios where they are working in different towns, and there is this child that they have that they need to be able to take care of. What challenges do these parents meet? What gaps exist between the ideal parenting model, and you would like to describe for us what is the ideal parenting model, and how can we bridge them, especially when we look at things that we do today, such as screen time, having helps at home, house managers, and also how to do this for children with disability. Anisha, kindly take us through this segment. Are you there with us, Anisha?
Yes. Sorry, I was just trying to get that. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so the reality of the modern world now is that we have careers. Children need to eat, bills have to be paid, a lot of things must be done, and we can't fully be there. And this has called now for the help, where we have the house managers coming to support us with our daily routines. We also have the gadgets that are coming in handy. And if you notice, most of
We lost you, Anisha.
nowadays they're speaking, I call them cocomelon. This has brought a lot of damage, has given a lot of damage to some children. And hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So it has brought a lot of damages to children as they are growing, because remember also when we introduce screen, because we are busy and we're trying to keep them engaged, as either we're doing something else or we are away, the screen, as we spoke about last time, does some damage to the child's developing brain. Let's start with the house managers who come to help us. And we bring them on because things must be done, and we are overwhelmed as parents, especially as mothers. I don't know if the men out here who are really hands-on, maybe they are, but I'm just not aware, who are very hands-on when it comes to now this age of 2 to 5 years, and they're very constant in the children's life and even the activities within the home. I don't know if they're them. Now, when the house managers come in, of course, it's the mother's responsibility to give the house manager what needs to be done, what time the child is eating, how much the child is eating, what time everything, the routine that the child goes through is the house manager's. When the mother is appointing the house manager, it's her duty to give this instruction to the house managers. However, if the mother is going to work, we find that sometimes the house manager will do what is comfortable for her, what is easier for her. I knew a friend of mine who the house manager would get, of course, breast milk from the fridge with at that temperature, cold, and just give it straight to the child. And when she was asked, she said, like, the baby was crying and I didn't want her to cry for so long, and then they'll do it. Most of us, we are not, for those who are leaving our babies at home, we are not able, unless you have a CCTV in the house and you're able to monitor each and every move of the house manager or what's going on. It's really hard to focus and get everything done as you would have done it yourself. And this also brings a lot of guilt to mothers because they feel overwhelmed and they also feel helpless. Like, how do I support my child and how do I still manage my career? And yet all must be done, yet I'm only one person. So with the house managers, it's really, really important that they're given proper instruction, but also proper guidance. And I've realized most also the other thing that comes out is that the way you treat the manager, not all of them are the same. We have some who are very good with babies. They can really support you. They'll be there. And I've also had women complain that this house manager is really, really good keeping the house neat, but they're not very good with the children. Or you find that, oh, they're very, very good with the children, but they're slack in their housework. So it's upon you as a mother to decide which one is important. Is it your child being fed and happy and played with all the time, or is it your house being clean and neat at all times? You must now do the weighing and see which one comes, which one is important, and which one should you focus on, and which one should you train your house manager to focus on. And obviously, as mothers, we are going to always want them to be there for our child and to maintain and continue with our routine that we've set for the child. When it comes to limiting screen time, we as parents, we can do that, but I doubt if when we leave our children under the care of our house managers, if they're going to do that. Because if the child is being stubborn, I'll just put a cocomelon for them because I've not done laundry, the house is still not clean enough, I need to go to the supermarket, do some groceries. You're going to come back and you're going to start, kupiga kelele. So if my work needs to be done, I'm going to put your child on hold. I'm going to entertain them. And this is where most of our children are disappearing into the screen because they are being put there for the screen. What can we do as parents, even though we are exhausted? Remember last time I did say that try and find time within your busy schedule to play with your child. And through play, you're going to be able to understand. The child is going to be able to like, it's like releasing the day's problems, releasing the exhaustion that they've had, releasing the fact that they've missed you. They wanted to be close to you and you were not there. And of course, that is not your fault. I don't know, it's not your fault per se. It's not your fault at all because you must work. But it's going to give this child a moment you're going to have a moment to repair the time that you spent away, repair the moment that the child felt not seen, the child did not feel loved, maybe by the house manager, the child did not feel the things that only you as a mother or only you as a father can provide. And also, if there's any way that you can maybe take your time off or days off, so that whether the father is there or the mother is there, and for those from single parents, like finding someone who supports you, who can always be there when you're not there, to continue with that attachment, to continue with that provision of the necessary attachment or connection that your child needs for their brain to develop well, then you need to do that, all right? And for children with disabilities, for children with either learning disabilities, and some parents also understand that are not aware until it's either too late. And these are some of the things that you look at when you're looking at developmental stages of a child, the milestones. And these are things that your pediatrician should be able to tell you, the nutritional expert should be able to explain to you when you notice that there's something different, not wrong, but something different with your child. And also milestones are different. So don't also push your child too fast that, oh, at 2 years, so-and-so's baby was speaking and crawling, but mine is not. Be very careful to look at what are some of the big signs that something is different, not wrong, but something is different. Maybe the child's brain is wired differently. I'm talking about autism. I'm talking about things like ADHD, which are very common nowadays. A child with ADHD, they cannot stay still. They're very impulsive. They're very destructive. They're generally, it's like they have, my mom used to say they have worms in their pants. They can't sit still. It's like they're jumping everywhere. And look at what are some of the milestones that my child is slacking? What are some of the things that they're doing that should not be normal at this particular moment? What have I done? Is it nutrition? Is it something that's genetic? So these are things that you can confirm with your pediatrician or with your gynecologist, with your doctor, with your GP, if you should have any worries. Now, for children with disabilities or children with special needs, let me call them special needs, or children in inclusion. If you know that you have a child who's a child in inclusion, kindly, the best thing to do is to find or invest in the best house help manager that you can get under the planet. Because this manager, if you're not there, when you're not there, is going to affect or is going to your child's life and your child's development from that stage on will depend on this person who stays, who spends time with them. They can either destroy the child completely, or they can make this child develop well and learn even other things that they need to learn at their age. There's no child that is a bad child. Children give us behaviors, and behaviors are messages that tell us that we need something's not right, we need you to fix it for us, right? Unless it is biological, like a medical issue, which can be sorted and you can be given instruction or what to do by the professions, you need to invest in someone who can actually be there for your child. You have to. There is no other way around it. And if this means that getting even 10 of them until you get B1, please do. It will take a while for your child to adapt, but getting the best house help that can understand your child and be kind to your child, it will be the best thing that you'll ever do to your child while you are away, while you're at work, trying to provide for your family. And also, always, as we are talking about as Christians, always pray for your children, always cover them under the blood, because while you're away, you don't know what's happening. It's only God who keeps them safe. Over to you, Miriam.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anisha, for taking us through on how, through that particular section, on how we can be able to, what we can be able to do with regards to the real situations and ideal situation. And you've talked about screen time, we've talked about house managers, we've talked about children with disabilities. And yesterday I was just talking to a friend. You know, sometimes we love life. Life is good, yeah? But do you think as an individual, you can be able to survive without a screen in your house? This TV is very nice. The other day I saw there's one that is called a Leaders Hub, and I found it very, very interesting. But can you be able to survive without that? Because that is what is injuring our children. So think about it. When we are in church, you're busy listening to the sermon. But again, on this other side, you're giving your child your phone so that they can be able to calm down. Is that right? So think about it. And we have experts here who can be able to advise further on how best we can be able to handle our children in church, especially. We are moving on. There is something here called social fathers. And there's also a delicate group called single parents. And the single parents can be by choice. They could be divorced. They could be separated. They could be unmarried. They could be widowed. But now, the common factor is that the child is here. We've talked about father, mother. But this now is a situation where we could have only father or have only mother. How can they be able to navigate this particular stage? How do social fathers fit in? Daktari, you need to be able to define for us what social fathers mean and what grace principles apply here. Over to you, Daktari Oteyo.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miriam, for this. We have to agree from the onset that the groups that you have mentioned, or the group that you have mentioned that we are calling single mothers, face very unique challenges, especially the aspect of stigma, like they feel stigmatized, ashamed, incomplete. But I want to assure my sisters, if they're listening to us or they listen later, is your adequacy is anchored in the fullness of God, not on the relationship status. If you read Colossians 2:10, it really echoes that you've been filled in him who is the head of all rule and authority. But there are practical challenges that our parents or our colleagues, whether it can be ladies or men, face, although majority of the single mothers are women. Because I think of the social construct, because most of the time you get that a man has lost a loved one through death. Sometimes they take very little time, and there's nothing wrong in that, but they take a quick knee, and then they get somebody else to take care of the children. But because of stigma, our sisters, if you do the same, it's like you are running away from the home where you were married. But empirically, we know you have a right to do whatever you want to do. I remember I was very sick in 2006, very sick, and I was admitted at War Memorial. And I remember I called Beatrice and told her, like, my dear, Dr. Bure has tried, but it looks like things are not working. On the likely event I die, please get married. And the little money we have in the account, please don't even say you have it. Because lady, the owners take the corpse home. And the little you have, by that time we had our firstborn only, you can take care of her. I remember one of our friends came and found that I really wasted. And they indicated to Beatrice, you see, the private wing, for those who understand War Memorial, the former War Memorial, the private wing where I was admitted, there's a corridor. They came out here, and then I remember that young man telling that, don't worry, even if Malimu goes, we'll be able to assist you. And you see, you could hear from afar. I remember telling my friend that story later, and then he laughed over it, but it was really, really painful. So, there are many ways we can handle this issue. Let me begin with the single mothers, either by choice and maybe widowed, in the sense that there is nobody, the male figure, in their life in terms of being a father. And this is how the concept of social fathers come. Or in most cases we talk about social fathers. Because, as I said, there are more women who are single parents than the men. Because the normal structure of a family is where we have a male parent and a female parent. But on the likely event that is missing, you can look for a social figure. And a social figure does not mean, as a Christian, you go for somebody that you have not formalized a relationship. But I'm talking about your brother. I'm talking about your pastoral mentor. I'm talking about your uncle who can be a male role model to your children, because men play a very major role in the development of the children. Then the presence of this father figure or the social fathers will be very useful in reinforcing the mother's authority, and the boy will learn, will become a godly man who respects women. I know single parents, you carry a double load, managing both nurturing and boundary setting alone. And this is likely to cause intense burnout. But if you get a friend, you get an uncle, you get a brother who can stand in, then you deliver, especially the son, so that he can get mentored. It really works. If you understand the word mentor, the original meaning of the word mentor, where it came from, those days when the society or the Roman society, I can't remember, the king was the person who was leading the army. And when you go to war, you are not very sure whether you are likely to come back. He decided to put his son, who was the likely heir of the kingdom, to be mentored by another man. So mentorship is key. The mothers in the house, perhaps you may have lost your husband through death. You may have got a baby and the person is not available to take care and to mentor the child. You have an option for social fathers in your life. But there is another category of these people. Either you are still together, but because of work, you are not staying together. We call them absent or long distance parents. Especially when a parent is working away from home, or he has traveled or deployed, the physical distance must not mean emotional absence. With the technology at the moment, please, you can get in touch through a video call. You can set your video call. Through that, not just talking, how are you, omekura. Please, get time. You can even read a bedtime story together with your child. You can even play a game together, such that you are able to show them, to give them that emotional security that you could be working away from home, but you are together with them. For the parents who are with the children, please keep the photos of the absent parent. Keep on showing the child to look at the picture of dad or mom. Sometimes you can send a voice message for this child to listen. So we should not take an excuse. And when we get this opportunity, take time with your child. It's not just greeting. Imenyesha. Have a deep connection with your child and your spouse. In fact, not for this case, I wish we could see the levels of intimacy. There are 5 levels of intimacy. The shallowest or the most shallow is when you greet each other. The next thing is imenyesha ama ikunyesha. That is a communication that your intimacy is not deep. And intimacy, please, we are not taking it in the narrow sense of it. We have intimacy where you share deep internal frame of the person. So maybe that is for another day, where we'll be looking at the levels of intimacy. There are 5 levels. Then, for the parents who have divorced or separated, good friends, listen to me carefully. As much as we are encouraging from the Christian perspective that you are there for each other in the rain or in the sunshine, but there come a time you are unable to stay together. Irreconcilable differences. But as you stay apart, prioritize childcare. Let your other conflict separated from parenting duties to protect your child's self-concept. Please honor the visitation rights. Provide predictable on-time transitions, but not inconsistent schedules. Treat the visitation window as sacred. Then have a united front on boundaries. It is very common, especially people who have separated, we portion our children to your favor because you spend most of the time with you. This is the time you tell your children how their dad or mom was bad. A time is coming when they know the truth and they're adults. Watakuruka. No wonder why you did that with our dad. No wonder why you did that with our mom. You are harvesting the seed of discontent that you created in the early life. Please, to eliminate alienation, never speak poorly of the other parent. Never split the identity between both parents, criticizing your ex. Teaches the child that they are fundamentally bad. Please. Now, what are the fundamental grace-based principles, irrespective of the family structure, that you can instill on the child? The first one, please connect with your child before you correct. That's very key. We call it CBC. CBC. Connect your child before correction. You cannot influence a child with art you have not captured. Without connection, your commands feel like being a tyranny, a dictator, and it is going to cause a rebellion. Begin validating their feelings before correcting their behavior. When a child acts out, grace demands that we address their racing heart before we punish their hands. Oh yes. Calm them down. Then after calming them down, you talk to them. So connect before collecting. The second one, be patient over the tantalums. I've told you, a child growing during tantalums is not trying to give you hard time. They are having hard time because their expressive language has failed them. Remain calm. If you lose your temper, you are simply also throwing your other tantalums. Yes, there's no difference. Please, as Anisha said, regulate yourself. That child will learn from you. That child will feel safe. And that child will imitate you. Please, the second grace is, and this is very common with parents, especially the African parent, and I hope we need to change this. Instead of punishing, we call it instead of time out, please let it be time in. We love punishing our children in the sense that you withdraw certain privileges, you push them to an isolated dark room. Kwenda huko, mjinga. Oh no, this is the right time. It is not easy. That's why we're calling the grace. To sit down calmly with your child in a designated space until they come down and you talk to them. Another grace that we are asking, this is grace. Separate identity from behavior. Never call a child bad, stubborn, wenipunda, you are rebellious. Your child is beautiful, is a good child who made a wrong choice. Let us fix together that choice, but not label our children. Thank you, Miriam. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. You know, you've spoken well, but now I'm just looking at the next poll that is coming up, and you've just told us that we should not give timeout. And you know, timeout is the only thing that we can be able to do to tell the children that because you have done, like, tell them for everything you do, there is a consequence. So we give timeout. If you are in the school of thought of timeout, you can be able to fill in that poll. I've already given you my response. I gave timeout for the longest time possible, and I still do sometimes. But let's talk about punishment. We have the children learning about their rights. We as parents, we have come from an age where we were really spanked. And so right now we say, don't ever touch my child. Even if my child has done something so wrong, disrespectful, don't touch my child, don't spank my child, don't pinch my child. How are we supposed to address this issue of punishment? And second to that, how can we as parents have a united front? So I just want to quickly ask Anisha to take 5 minutes to explain to us how we can be able to discipline our children to develop good character, and the importance of having a united front when it comes to discipline. Over to you, Anisha.
Thank you so much, Miriam. And I will explain why timeout doesn't work in a few. Let me just share my screen. Hang on. Okay. Can you see my screen? Hello, can we see my screen?
Yeah, now we can see your screen.
All right. So we're looking at discipline versus punishment. Okay. And I hope that's better now. Yes. So we're going to check what is the definition of discipline, what is the definition of teaching, of punishment. So to discipline basically means to teach. All right. To discipline also can be like when you're training people, practicing of training people to obey rules or a code. When you look at Jesus and his disciples, the disciples are called the disciples of Jesus. And I want to believe the disciple came from the word disciples came from the word discipline, because they followed Jesus. Jesus taught them. I've really tried, unless, okay, I've not read my Bible that much, but I don't remember where Jesus beat his disciples. I know he beat people in the temple when they were selling and buying, but I don't remember where Jesus beat his disciples. He taught them. So to me, discipline means to teach. All right. What is punishment? Punishment is infliction or imposition of a penalty as a retribution for an offense. Punishment is a rough treatment. Punishment focuses on making a child suffer for a mistake. So I hope, Miriam, you're seeing when it is time out, it's more of a punishment. So I am going to make you suffer for a mistake that you've made. So I'm going to put you away so that you think about what you've done. And because mostly that is what we tell the children, time out, go think about what you've done. Miriam, the moment you put a child on time out, and you ask them to think or reflect, they don't. Instead, they think of how they're going to get you next. Especially if it is an issue about maybe they've had a fight with their sibling and you tell them to time out. Trust me, that is the best time for them to start planning on their revenge when you're away. It always works. It always works for them. But again, we'll talk about timeout maybe some other time. Now, you've seen what discipline is and what is to teach, what teaching is. So it's upon you as a parent to decide, what have you been doing to your child? Have you been disciplining your child, or have you been punishing your child? And I know that our discipline tactic that we use have come from how we were parented, how our parents punished us, how they disciplined us, and most of us, we do have, what are they called? We have scars from how we were punished by our parents. Some of us were banned, some of us we were maybe told not to eat, others were locked outside. It was a really harsh punishment. And nowadays, if you look at the Constitution, our Constitution is, to me, I think I want to call that corporal punishment that was being used back then. And if you look at that, our Constitution is really, really against us, completely against us. Now, punishment is asking, how do I make you suffer for what you've done? But discipline is asking, how do I teach you what to do next? So research consistently have shown that fear may stop a behavior temporarily, because when I'm going to punish this child, I'm inflicting. Sometimes some parents say, I'm going to put the fear of the Lord in you. So I'm going to put some fear. So when this child is afraid, we're going to stop a behavior temporarily. That's why your time out is going to stop that behavior temporarily, but it will not build character. Because what you're teaching this child is you're going to learn how to hide your mistakes. You're going to learn how to lie. You're going to avoid getting caught. Because if I get caught, then I'm going to be punished. If I lie, then maybe they don't understand the truth, and I can get away with it. So rather than developing internal responsibility, they're going to do this thing. They're going to hide, lie, avoid getting caught, and things like that. So we are going to use the natural consequences. So, for example, if you spill the water, you're going to clean it up. If you drop something, you're going to pick it up. That's the natural consequence. Like, fix it, right? Try and make it better. You've dropped something, pick it up. You've spilled water, do it. But sometimes kids can also try your patience, especially this age. So you have to be consistent. You have to be there and tell them what to do and make sure they do it. Another one is a logical consequence. The other part is logical consequence. So what are logical consequences? So if you throw your toys around and I ask you to pick them up and you don't do it, I'm going to take them away. So I'm going to temporarily remove them away from you. Okay. So the first one is a natural consequence. You do something, you can fix it, like spilling water. The second one is logical consequence. If you do that, I'm going to take it away, because once you're throwing your toys, you're going to hurt somebody else or you're going to break something. And it's also not nice to throw your toys around. So I'm going to take them temporarily away from you. The third one is now the opposite of timeout. I'm going to call it time in. Opposite of timeout is going to be time in. So instead of sending a distressed child away from you, remember, when you tell the child to go away, it's like, get away from me. I don't like you. They will not think of what they've done, that is what you don't like. They will not think that you're sending them away because of their behavior. They'll think that you're sending them away because you don't like them anymore. All right? So you're sending a distressed child away. I'm going to ask you, instead of sending that child away, time out, bring them close and help them regulate. So for example, they've done something wrong. They're going to go to the kitchen and do something with somebody else if it's not you. If you're not regulated, they're going to do something else. Maybe do the dishes or go and help someone at the garden. Go help the gardener pick up the stuff. Tell them do an activity with someone else. So you're going to tell the child, Miriam, you didn't listen. I saw you hit your brother. I asked you several times to stop. You didn't. I'm going to ask you to go outside and help uncle so-and-so to do this and this for this kind of amount of time. That is time in. If I'm regulated enough at that particular moment as a mother, I'm going to say, Miriam, you're going to come here and sit with me As I do my thing, you're going to sit there and do something else. You're staying with me. Time in. I'm bringing this child close so that I can help them regulate. Because remember, the brain is already thinking a lot of things. They're not reasoning. They're reactive. The reactive brain is taking control. All right. And the goal is not to control the behavior in the moment. It's not about controlling that behavior. You try doing that, you're going to mess up. The goal is in raising a child who eventually does the right thing, even when nobody's watching. Right? Even when nobody is watching. That is going to be the goal that you're going to do. And this is what happens. You provide two-hand support. So the right hand, my right hand, is going to provide structure and boundaries. This is what you're going to do. If this happens, this is what you're going to happen. I expect 1, 2, 3. When you do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 happens to you. This is providing structure and providing boundaries. The other hand is going to provide warmth and nurture, and is going to allow children to have appropriate independence according to their developmental age. All right. So nurture, you're going to be very supportive on this one. You're going to be loving. You're going to be kind. You're going to have empathy, because remember, your child's brain is not fully developed yet. So there are some things they'll not really see it from your point of view. You're going to understand it as an adult, but a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old is not going to understand it. So your other hand is going to provide structure and boundaries. And that is how we are going to work on discipline versus punishment. Discipline is to teach. We're going to teach a child. Punishment is to inflict pain. And there's so many ways that you can discipline a child without inflicting pain. Because remember, a child will only learn best if they feel safe. So imagine being sent away and then you're told to learn. Think about what you've done. You don't feel safe. Your parent has just sent you away. How are you going to feel safe? How are you going to learn? Your brain is not going to learn when you are scared. Imagine if someone came to your conference, you're learning something, and then they're having a gun or they're threatening your life, you feel threatened, then they're telling you, you must learn this concept. You must learn this. Are you going to learn? Of course not. Your brain cannot learn when you feel afraid. And there are two primary emotions that all of us feel. That is fear and love. So if a child feels loved and protected, they're going to learn. The brain is wired that way, to seek love, to seek safety, to seek attention, and they need it from you. So provide support, provide boundaries. Make sure you lean more towards discipline rather than punishment. Thank you, Vivian.
All right, thank you so much. So I've learned timeout is not, timeout does not work. But someone is screaming here, yes. But, you know, the logical timeout, you have done this, so this is what is going to happen. Maybe that can work. But we can be able to discuss a lot on that one, Anisha. Dr. Oteyo, tell us something on the united front of parents. Why is this important?
Thank you, Miriam, for this opportunity. It is so exciting. The show is more exciting. Yeah, so you look back and see how some of the mistakes we made. Of course, it has worked, but we are looking at the far-reaching consequences. In psychology, there's what we call escape learning, where when you are away, the child, they behave like devils. When you are around, they are angels. So, and that is what we are saying, like positive discipline works better than the punishments that we are talking about. Yes. Miriam, I'm talking this with a very heavy heart, because my family, my family of origin has been a victim of this divided front in terms of parenting. And let me tell you that a divided house breeds the child insecurity. And let me tell you this today, my colleagues, parents, children are very brilliant investigators. If they see a crack between mom and dad, they will really exploit it. It becomes a password. One parent becomes a good cop and the other one becomes a bad cop. Basically, in the commanding stage, the role of the parent is being like a police officer because you are giving rules. And the moment these children, we are saying that these, I'm sorry to use that word, brilliant investigators, the moment they realize that divide, they will capitalize on it, and this can create a deep resentment between the spouses and the intense anxiety in the children. If I can give my example, what are we required to do as parents? Never argue, discipline in front of the child. If your spouse steps in and handles a situation in a way you dislike, let them finish. If you realize that it is extreme, there's a best way you can intervene. That let's go and talk about this. For now, let it rest at this level. Especially when you see this a bit harmful, especially the physical one or the name. So, but the moment you belittle, the moment you castigate your spouse in front of the child, you have created a pattern, a password. Mom is good, dad is bad. And most of the time, because mothers at this age, you spend more time with the child, you are likely to have more friction with the child than the dad, because the dad is away, he comes once. The dad will be their favorite in some homes. Then mom can be their favorite. Another way that we can avoid this is to have a pre-arranged or agreement on core boundaries. Having a meeting without the children and you decide together, what are our rules on eating, petty time, media? What are the exact consistent consequences of deviancy? I can tell you, you can also bring your manager here. I'm so happy the manager had to stay with us for 14 years. She could come and quietly tell us some of the things these children are doing or saying, then we have a leak. We get a password about them. Then we agree and we have a common united front. I remember like when our firstborn daughter was in Form 3, she became a problem in a way. I remember she was in St. Clair Moro. She knew very well, for example, she's not supposed to take things when she has come for half term, but only to find that Lita has gone to school with this chewing gum thing. Then I was told to buy for the whole school. Very embarrassing. Funny things. But let me tell you, of course, when I was given that punishment, some parents, some friends told me, like, isn't Kenya the only school? I remember I went there very early in the morning, but I was attended at 4, and I was supposed to travel to Nairobi. To the point we almost lost our emotional bandwidth, but I was really motivated that we want to use this opportunity to teach my daughter that there are certain things that she needs to obey the school, because I could have decided to take her to another school. But what am I telling her? I remember my daughter was told to write 7 times apology letters. The first one was rejected, the second was rejected up to the 6th. When I asked the sister, please, can you tell me, can you allow me? I look at it, then I advise her, because I did my English, I can assist her. He told me, let Rita own up that she made a mistake. She's not owning up. She's only telling that she will not do it again. Then I told her to do that. Then I remember before reporting to school, we had agreed with the mother, and then I took her through A to Z virtues that she needs to possess. Then we signed it together. And we did it together with the mother. And you can imagine, later after that, she showed her performance from being an average student to a B student. And that is what she got from that school. That is the importance of being united. support each other's authority. Briefly, allow me, I know that time is gone, but I have seen this in my extended family where my mom was pro the sons, my dad was pro the daughters, basically because of their family background. My dad, they didn't have a sister, they only had one. My mom didn't have a brother. So he was looking at us as brothers. And I can tell you, 65 years down the line, because my sister is around 65, that sibling rivalry and resentment has been created. I remember where my sisters, my mother was staying with us, trying to request her to come and assist my wife to take care of my mother. They said, ni nyinyi mulipendwa. That is how far-reaching that divided front. Because my dad was this type, he doesn't have children to be beaten up. And my mom was the harsh one. Look at that. And my sisters, because maybe they could see some favorism that we were getting because mom was coming from a background where he didn't have a brother, he could think, of course, both of us we were being punished, but they would think that my mom gave us than them. And unfortunately, or fortunately, in terms of the civil success, we can say we were slightly better than them. And they are up to this time, a lady aged 65, among the others, she's attributing it to the mother because the mother was a bad cop. Dad was a good cop. Where did it begin? At this stage that we are talking about. Back to you, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daktari, for explaining on how it is important for us to be able to have a united front. Yeah, these children can really learn very fast and they know the good one and the bad one. Yeah, so it is necessary to do a united front. Let's go to communication. Sometimes we find it so very difficult to communicate with little children because sometimes you don't even understand what they want and we feel so tired because sometimes they are not, we go through a lot throughout the day. Anisha, tell us what is the best or effective way to empathetically communicate and also listen to our children. And even as Anisha is coming up, we know that we are running out of time, but we would want to ask you to add us a bit of time, some 20 minutes, so that we can be able to do a wrap up. Over to you, Anisha.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Daktari, for such. There's something Daktari has said about connecting before correcting. Now, I know most of us, we speak to children as little miniature adults, right? And they're not. The 2-year-olds already, they've established language, they can hear you. From when they're a couple of months old, they might not articulate. Of course, they will not articulate because they have not gotten the aspect of language. They've not developed in language yet, but they can see your voice, they can see your face, they can read your tone, and they can understand you've done something. Even when they can't speak, you can tell them, bring me that, and they can bring it. So they do understand. So 2-year-old language is not very, it's different from ours because when we as adults, when you give instructions to do something, we understand it because, again, remember what we talked about, the brain development, the upstairs to from downstairs to upstairs brain. So they're part of logical reasoning, the language. It's still not yet fully developed. And I can divide this, again, you can divide the brain into two. Apart from the upstairs and downstairs, you can divide the left and the right side brain. So when you think about left side brain, think L, logic, linguistic, linear, think of those kinds. It's intellectual, it's logical. When you think of the right side of the brain, we're talking about it's emotional. It's giving us, it's letting us understand the meaning and feeling and experiences. The right side brain, it's reading nonverbal cues. This is why when a baby bites the mother when the baby's breastfeeding and they look at the mother's facial expression, they stop for a minute. They kind of freeze. They're like, oh, something is wrong. I've done something wrong, or something is not right here. because the right side of the brain has picked up that I've done something wrong. But the left side of the brain is not working. It's not fully developed. Okay. Now, the practical strategy at this particular age for the effective way to speak to these children, this is the first one that Dr. Oteyo has mentioned: connect before you correct. A child that feels safe, a brain that feels safe will learn. A brain that feels fear will not learn. And that's why we talked about, I said timeout will not work, because the child is feeling scared, the child is feeling attacked. So they will not learn. Drop down to the level of the child. Mostly, most people who are aware, when they're speaking to a child, they'll drop down to a knee and be the same level of the child and speak. Use the child's name. Call this child. Hey, Miriam, I want to say this and this and this, right? Touch the child gently. You can put your hand on their shoulders, but also watch out for kids who have sensory issues, kids who are not very, they have a problem with people touching them. Also be aware of that. So, but I'm assuming this is your child, so you know what you can or can't do. Drop down to their level, use their name, touch them gently, and give one instruction at a time. Instead of saying, Miriam, how many times have I told you to stop running around the house? How many times have I told you to pick your shoes? How many times? How many times? Use simple words. Say, Miriam, look at me, your shoes. Pick them up, please. Minimum words. Minimum words. Don't start giving lecture. Don't start explaining and bringing the things and talking about how tired you are, how they're not understanding, and you start of making noise, blah, blah, blah. They're shut off. They've already shut you out. They're not listening to anything else you're saying. They're just going to look at you and your mouth is moving. Nothing's going to go through the ear. All right. And the brain science tells us that if a child is stressed, they lose access to the higher thinking, just as I've explained. So imagine it's trying to explain over and over again what the child needs to do. All right. So fewer words, they can process better. Another powerful tool is emotion coaching. And this one, again, to the fathers in the house, I want to challenge you in this. I know you guys, most of you have been taught that you're not supposed to talk about your emotions. You can't access your emotions. Boys don't cry, blah, blah, blah. Your child would not learn how to deal with emotions if you yourself, you don't know how to deal with the emotion. Of course, I'm not saying that you start crying in front of your child, but try and mention the emotion that the child is feeling. If you can't show it to them, then you tell them, Miriam, you seem to be angry, you seem to be frustrated, you seem to be, so that they have a word for that. And that is what we call name it to tame it. According to a book called The Whole Brain Child by Dr. Dan Siegel, he talks about naming it to tame it. All right. So I'm going to name this feeling so that I'm able to control. The child is aware that, okay, so whenever I want to throw things on the floor, it means I'm frustrated. Okay, so frustration is a feeling. Then what do I do with it? Mom is going to help me do it. I've named it and I've tamed it. Right? That is emotional coaching. Let them know. So instead of saying, I said, stop crying. Try, you seem angry. You seem disappointed. That felt unfair, because now you're giving this child the vocabulary to learn how to express their emotions through words instead of through actions. So next time when they are frustrated, tell you, Mommy, I feel frustrated. And then talk to them about it. Why are you feeling frustrated? What has made you frustrated? Okay. And if they cannot speak back, but they can show it to you through the behavior, tell them, you look frustrated. It must be really horrible to feel like that. Right. The second thing you're going to do is, again, you're going to communicate. You're going to engage and you won't enrage when a child has done something wrong. You're communicating, you're being empathetic. All right. Empathy is being able to stand so close to somebody that you can feel this person's heartbeat. You're going to walk in this child's shoe. You're going to understand that this child's brain has not fully developed. They cannot see from where I'm standing, what I mean. They can't fully understand. They can't fully comprehend, but I'm going to explain to them. So instead of me getting overly worked up, that's why in the beginning, I talked about regulation. You as a parent must show it by being regulated yourself. All right? And as you're going to engage, you don't encourage, you're going to understand which part of the brain am I dealing with. Am I dealing with the primitive brain, or I'm dealing with the part of the brain that does the logical part of it? All right. Am I on the upstairs brain or the downstairs brain? Which brain of the child are you dealing with? So if it is the emotional brain, it's not going to work. All right. And the other thing you're going to do is you're going to use the remote of the mind. Let the child pretend she has a remote to rewind or stop or replay their memories or whatever it is that had happened. Tell them, okay, we're going to rewind. What happened? Tell me, how did that? What was going on? Especially if you're not around, let them rewind. Let them tell you the story and be curious. Listen. Listen, there's part that I work, the DDP part that I do, it talks about a strategy called PACE, that is playfulness, acceptance, empathy, and curiosity. So the playful part, of course, most of you are aware about it, and you're going to accept the child's feelings, not the actions. All right, I will accept that you're feeling like this, but I will not accept bad behaviors. I will not accept throwing toys on the floor. I will accept what you're feeling, frustrated, angry, you're feeling like you've been left out. I will accept all those, but I will not accept your behavior. All right. You're going to be curious to a point of asking what might be going on for the child. What is underneath that feeling? Because I always believe that behind every behavior lies an emotion. And beneath that emotion or feeling, there is a need. And this child's need must be met before you can actually deal with the behavior. Look at the behavior as just a big iceberg and you're just seeing the tip of it. That is the behavior you're seeing, the tip of the iceberg. But underneath, there are so many things. There is emotions, there's feelings, and there is a need. You meet the child's need, you do away with the behavior. So the child's need must be met. So be intentional, be aware. Look at what is the child saying through this behavior. All right. And yes, I think that's all I wanted to share about the communication. So communicate to a child, just say it, use simple words, be empathic, and I guess try and put yourself in the child's shoe, and that would really help. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Anisha. In the field of communication, we are still working on it. But Dr. Oteyo, if we do not command properly, how would this child turn out as an adult? Tell us something with regards to adult-child dilemma and developmental fixations. Dr.
Thank you so much, Miriam. I shared with you and the tobacco is here. I used to have long nails, and when in 2023 I joined the project that was involving children, 3 years old, and I was confronted about my nails. I was able to carry them because and it made me really to expound myself, especially on the issues of dealing with the children and going down when we are talking to the children, because we were doing or making psychological assessments, and sometimes a child of 3 years old could completely refuse, and there were these tests that they were to do something, then we check on their ability, like WIPSI and that stuff. So I was listening to Anisha and getting it out so well. I remember, Miriam, the very first time we organized for this seminar, before we pushed it again. You remember we were supposed to do it together in an afternoon with one of the guests. In fact, among the things that I got from the Adventist men wall is, please, can you share with the family ministry to tell us about how are we going to deal with these other children who have decided to get stuck in their home? They are not moving. They have jobs. They don't want to settle down. I hear the parents of other children who are in the house. But let me tell you that I want you to look you into the eyes. It is very, very possible you could have been fixated or you did not transit very well in the caregiving stage and the commanding stage. Allow me to take you through this, especially remember the caregiving stage is the nurturing stage where the daughter, the baby, is assisted to feed. And unfortunately, we continue it up to even those who are in the university, either who are in co-negotiation, even a consultant. I know parents who buy things for their children, then the children are in Nairobi. Then they are put in a matatu. What they are going to eat, then it is taken as a parcel to Nairobi. Of course, one of the parents told me is because we give them money, they don't go and buy. I went one time, I found these people sleeping hungry. It is their life. Parents, how I wish we carried that umbilical cord. The same way we carried the umbilical cord at the conception stage, and then you moved to the caregiving stage, unfortunately, we returned that umbilical cord. And when we expect, and I'm not opposing my colleague, there's one of our colleagues who usually say that chase them away. Chasing away is not a solution. I listened to one of the other day that she was talking about that you are an adult child sleeping comfortably and you are not worried. But I asked myself, the parent could be the cause. You are the one who continued over nurturing this child, and the child got stuck there. The child didn't learn self-efficacy and depending on themselves. The same way to the commanding stage. Remember, in the commanding stage, we are giving consistently the rules and the boundaries. If we get trapped there in the rigid authoritarian commanding mindset, even when a child has become a teenager and an adult, the relationship is likely to be combative. The child will stay stuck there through passive aggressive rebellion. They live under your roof, they take your resources, but they break the rules. As a delayed way of fighting the rigid control, they fell when they were young. So, there's no way you can command at the age of 3, such that the same way you want to command those who are 23. But the solution is this: how can we change? What is this can we do? My good parents, reflect and look. See, if by any chance you got fixated in the caregiving stage, stop the enabling behavior. Stop the enabling behavior. Cut the logical umbilical cord. Stop doing their laundry, cooking their separate meals, cleaning their rooms, paying their bills. Never. Give them some financial responsibility if they are running. I'm sure my daughter will be listening to this after this because she's in the Greater Church, Nini. She knows very well the moment she got the job. That is the last time I stopped really supporting her. I'm paying the rent. We're staying together in Nairobi. But I'm paying the rent, but things about electricity, because most of the time, like now I'm in Somalia, I'm not there. She's the one who's supposed to pay for our water, for the Wi-Fi, for the Nini, and our transport and our care. She knows that. Because that's the only way I can create the responsibility in her. What about parents who got fixated in the commanding stage? Because you are trapped in this rigidity. My brother or sister, can you resign as a post? Please, resign. You are no longer post. Remember, you are just a consultant. And a consultant, when we want to go for consultancy, we seek it. Please, we seek it. And the moment you do that, you are likely to overcome. But if by any chance you're feeling guilt and shame, please work on it. Through grace, reconciliation is possible. Sit down with your children, please. It doesn't harm to have a radical apology. Then repair without strings. Because, let me tell you, you listen to the anger parts. depending their past, how umewajanyasha. Listen to it. Please relinquish control and trust the adult trajectory. That will really, really help. Allow me, Miriam, to comment something about the adult daughters and the art of gracefully releasing them. Sometimes it is not easy. Our daughters who are grown-ups, 30, 35, as fathers and mothers, we feel strongly that it's supposed to be have left and settled down and maybe atupewa chuku, but they are not. What do we do? Some of us, we could be in this. But how can I talk to them? Let me tell you, our children are going through a lot of heartbreaks. When we had mentorship with our youth, some of them shared and said, in fact, having gray hair makes you marketable than us. That's what they told us. But let me tell you, how do you approach such a girl such that she doesn't see that you are chasing them away from home? Especially remembering that it is very possible these children could be struggling with this early life of shame and doubt or vague vexations where they feel insecure. How can I put it? The first thing you need to do is say it in such a way the child does not see herself as a burden. And her value is only tied to marriage. And she feels that she's being discarded. The first thing you do as a parent, whether a father or a mother, tell them how incredibly they are capable, successful women. Tell them how you're provided for them. Then you can tell them if they wish, and it is also good for them, they can settle without necessarily getting married. So try as much as possible to separate our worth from our marriage status. Praise our career, our intellect, our character. Ensure she knows she's complete, successive, adult right now, exactly as she is. Change the narrative from fiction to graduation. Because, especially mothers, you will find that the mothers, they are dealing with your daughter because like they are competing the space. But this daughter can, I know it is not easy for an African. They can settle down and do their own thing that they want, not necessarily with a man. Over them, practical and empowering support, such that they don't look at it like you are chasing them. Parents, as a dad, parents, the mother, and the daughter dynamics. I've seen where mothers even suspect their dads could be moving with their daughters because of the closeness. The fathers in the house. Parents, such that your spouse cannot see you are too much to their daughter than her. And that requires grace. Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. I thought it's good to mention that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daktari. So it is very, very clear that if we don't go through the commanding stage and caregiving stage well, then there's likely for our children to experience fixations. And there is still hope, okay? There is still hope. As Daktari was speaking and Anisha also spoke, I just remembered this song that says, "He came down to my level when I could not get up to his." That is exactly the character of Christ that we need to be able to emulate. Okay? So finally, I know we are past 9 o'clock, but finally, Anisha, tell us, what is the role of play therapy? And how does it link to authority and escape learning? in our children? And how does this help with rebellious behavior? Over to you, Anisha. And as Anisha is taking us through, our rapporteur kindly collect the questions so that we can be able to respond to them. Over to you, Anisha.
Thank you so much, Miriam. There's something I'll try and be as brief as possible. Now, I'm going to read what's on the screen. All of you can see it, I hope. When we only look at behavior, we stop seeing the child and only look with an intent to judge whether we need to reward or punish. When you look behind the behavior, we see that little struggling human. Sorry, it's going back. Hang on. Just hang on. Yeah, sorry, that's the one I wanted to share. When you look at behavior, we stop seeing the child and only look with an intent to judge whether we need to reward or punish. When you look behind the behavior, we see that little struggling human, our little human who needs our help with something. That is from Rebecca Ians. Now, what is play therapy? This is one of my language. It's one of my passion that I have that helps children. And beginning, I hope you guys remember that we said that play is just not about toys. It's essential. It's something that kids do. They must do it. They don't have a choice. They must do it. Now, when you look at behaviors, why there's kids are rebellious. I want you to picture yourself. You've been told that you've done something wrong, especially in front of other people. You're feeling ashamed. Now, whenever everyone is, let me use the word attacked, or someone is confronted. Confrontation is the best word. When someone is confronted, all human beings, we put on this shield of shame. You as an adult, you as a parent, your children, everyone puts on a shield of shame at some point. And this is where, when you put on the shield of shame, your rage comes in, and children are going to lie, including adults. They're going to blame, they're going to minimize, and they're going to always become the victim. I'll give an example. Sorry, Miriam, I'm going to use your name a lot. So Miriam has kicked the dog. She's 6, 7, below 7 years, below 5 years we're talking about. She's kicked the dog. And I've seen her kick the dog. And I say, Miriam, why did you kick the dog? And Miriam said, I didn't do it, Mom. I didn't kick the dog. But Miriam, I saw you kick the dog. But Mom, the dog came to on my feet. So she is going to lie and she's going to minimize it. But the dog is not even that hard. All right. But why was the dog coming where I was? All right. And they're going to blame the fault. Most of our kids do this whenever they're caught doing something wrong, whenever we need to punish them. All right. Whenever we need to discipline them because of a misbehavior, they're going to put on the shield of shame because they are feeling ashamed of their own whatever action that they have taken. All of us, we do feel ashamed. And it's about you as a parent moving a child from feeling shame to feeling guilt. Guilt is better because guilt says, I have done something wrong. Shame says, I am wrong. I am a mistake. All right. Guilt is, I have done a mistake. Shame is, I am a mistake. So it's about helping these children move away from the shield of shame to a part of guilt and understanding that whatever we've done is not okay. I need to correct my behavior. And also this will be done by you emulating it. Okay. When you go back to play therapy, what is play? We've talked about this as first time, what play is. And it's, if you play with your child, and remember, this is the best stage. Below this age is the best to play with them. When you play with a child, you can access their world. You see, most of babies at this stage, they play imitating us. If it's the father who's doing something, you'll see them imitating their father. I saw this young boy they were playing role play. We call them chamama, and he'll just come in and take the remote and put his legs on the table and flip on channels and fold his sleeves. I hope our daddies here don't do that. I hope so. But anyway, kids emulate us and they play. When you play, you access their world. They learn when they're playing, they learn how to solve problems. They also learn emotional regulation. They learn social skill here during play.
They learn creativity and resilience. And imagine you as a parent, you can be part of that world that a child is opening to you through play. You learn what the world is all about. You learn their struggles. And when you're watching children play, you can actually tell this child is a leader, this one is a follower, this one is a problem solver, this one like takes authority, this one is assertive, this one is shy, timid. You can see how through the play. So kids don't pretend. For us adults, when we play, we are so much interested in the final product. Recently we had I don't know, is the World Cup still going on? I'm not so sure. We are so much interested in the final product. But when children are playing, they are so much interested in the process. So when you come as a parent and you find time to play with your child, even if it's only 5 minutes a day, a week, wherever, but it is consistent, the child feels the presence, your presence, and it is the process of playing that leaves the blueprint of secure attachment in their mind that, you know what, at one point, daddy loved me, daddy, when they're going to remember the moments, they're not going to remember where you took them, the presents, the expensive things you bought for them, the gadgets. They're going to remember the process they used. They took your time with them. And sometimes what appears as rebellion is actually a child trying to gain control in a world where they feel powerless. Remember, we control everything these kids do. At this age, whatever they wear, the colors, especially the colors. I remember when I was young, I was forced to wear a matching cloth with my sister. I wasn't happy. I am 6 years older than her. I wasn't really impressed, but I had to because my mom said so. And sometimes the behavior here is just a child trying to gain control because they feel helpless. We control so much, all right? And when adults become overly controlling, the children are going to often seek control somewhere else. And that is why when you look at all the bullies in school, for those ones who are teachers, you'll realize that these bullies in school have a bigger bully and probably is always at home. Probably something is happening at home and this child cannot comprehend that and they cannot contain those emotions. So they go and start bullying other children. All right. And this other controlling behavior is refusing to listen to instruction. They're lying. Like I've said about the shield of shame, you minimize, you lie. They're going to lie. They're going to hide things. They're going to argue a lot. And these kids become oppositional. Right. And one evidence-based intervention I teach parents is playtime. Just 15 minutes. And this is what I was talking about in a nutshell as I wind up. It's space. Be playful, be acceptance, be curious, and be empathic. Empathy is unconditional positive regard. I understand. I might not understand fully what you're going through, but I see it. I get it. Curiosity is, let's figure it out together. What happened? How can I help? All right. Acceptance. I accept your feelings are okay. I'm going to stay with this because they're uncomfortable, but I will not accept your behavior. I'm going to correct you I'm going to connect with you before I correct. I'm going to involve your upstairs, your downstairs brain. I'm going to connect. I'm going to feel your emotions. And for only 10 minutes or 5 minutes, parents, you can put away your phone. Just 5 minutes, put it on flight mode. 5 minutes, put it away from you. Sit down on the carpet with your child. Take off your shoes, just sit down. 5 minutes or 10 minutes, put that phone away. Let the child, let them bring their toys or sit where they are and just be curious. Look at what are they doing and follow the lead. And when you're playing with a child, this is not the time to teach. Parents and teachers, this is not the time to teach your child that, oh, this is color green, this is color purple. No, this is time for connection. Let the child bring any imagination they have, talk about what they want. Let the child lead the play. Avoid teaching, avoid correcting, avoid directing. This is their time. But now you are coming in as a playmate who follows the leader. So the child is the driver. You are going to be there, a passenger, and you're going to just keep them company and be interested in what they're doing. Ask them to lead you. Okay? And this, when you do this, when you play with the child, you're telling the child, I see you. I enjoy being with you. You matter. And parents, when children feel emotionally full, many behavior battles will reduce dramatically. I repeat that. If your child feels emotionally full, like you have filled that hunger of connecting with you or staying with you. However little it is, again, it's not about the quantity of time. It's not about spending 2 hours with them. No, it's about the little time you have, but in a consistent manner. Children, the behavior that you have, that you're battling with, are going to reduce dramatically because connection often succeed where control fails. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Anisha. Thank you for bringing that out. Pace, being playful, being acceptance, curiosity, and empathy. That's a new take home for me. Because sometimes when these children ask us to come, mommy, come and play with me, we tell them, so you go and play with your brother, or you go and take that toy, or you go there and you are just quiet. You don't even play. But it is important. Thank you so much, Anisha, for taking us through that. Now, members, I know we've taken a lot of time, but you can agree with me that these concepts are very, very critical and they're very, very informative. Now, it's time for our questions. Dr. Mbeche, is there any question on the chat?
All right, there are two questions I've seen, one at the very end. Does play apply for all age groups or only the 2 to 5 years?
Okay, and the other one?
No, the first question I saw in the beginning.
Okay.
And the first question was directed to Dr. Oteyo, and it comes from the point where she says, the opening of doors and throwing things around. I can relate. You just shout at a child as a mother. My children are teenagers already, did so many things wrong at that stage because it's so overwhelming. Question to Oteyo, Dr. Oteyo, can some of the developed temperaments and characters be changed or reversed? And then the second question goes to Anisha. Most parents start parenting without this knowledge. You find, it's not a question, in general, it's a comment. You find as a parent, you're not even able to regulate yourself. So I think those are the only questions I can see. The rest is conversation between parties.
Okay, thank you so much. Probably we can take a few minutes, Daktari. You can be able to answer the aspect of whether we are redeemable for those who have already passed the stage and we are already seeing fixation or we are already seeing some character. How can we be able to change that? And Anisha, play, does it only belong to the children between 2 to 5, or we can even play when children are teenagers or even when they're adults? Tell us more. So we'll have those two questions and then we will have the final comment. So probably you can address the question and then give your final remarks so that we save on time. Over to you. You can start with the
Okay, thank you so much, Miriam, for this opportunity. Yeah, there's that question that I was asking about, are we redeemable? Of course, the answer is yes. Of course, yes, no, but the no is there's that innate blueprint of our temperaments. We may not change much about it, but we can change its manifestations. How can we do that? One is first to understand your temperaments. And every temperament has strengths and weaknesses. And depending on which test you have done, psychological test, currently, like the Myers-Briggs, it gives you the dominant personality and the minor personality. Based on that, they compensate each other, they neutralize each other. So when you are conscious, which personality trait do you have dominantly and the minor one, and you check on their strengths and weaknesses, because you are aware, you can consciously be able to change and neutralize each other. Miriam, you have dealt with me. I'm dominantly melancholic and choleric. One weakness of melancholics is perfectionist, and we overanalyze, and we are likely to suffer from what we call analysis paralysis, and we don't move ahead. We are very poor risk takers. But you know, the choleric, some aspect of choleric that is in me, which is a doer, a driver, a motivation, makes me to deliver. I think you have realized, Miriam, the little time we have done something with you, that is me for you. Because I'm aware, I think now I'm overdoing. Now I'm going for too much details. Then I bring now the choleric in me to manifest itself. Because a choleric, you have to execute what you have planned. It really compensates very well. Like my spouse, she's a sanguine, pragmatic. You see, sanguine that is going, sometimes they don't take things serious. Very poor listeners. They want to be listened to. But a pragmatic minor, in fact, and being conscious is that, and when she went to counseling, in a way, she has stabilized and she's a patient. She can listen. So, my members, please do, it's an open access test. Myers-Briggs personality, then you know yourself. Once you know yourself, you can be able to change the manifestations. That is the point I will say. That the sample was about time out and time in. Time out is very punitive, and you are making a child to stay away from the situation. You withdraw attention from that child. But time in fact, it is very educative. You are supporting the child, and you bring the child very closer to you, and you are emotionally connected with the child, and the purpose is to co-regulate, and that is what Anisha said. Thank you so much for this long that you have waited. Let me tell you, it is so weighty, because as much as these other ones we have been saying, this is like a turning point for the next, how your baby is going to look like in terms of character formation, in terms of developing purpose in life, and getting conscious to know what is right and wrong. No wonder why we have taken too long. But thank you. We don't want to take your time for granted. 2 hours and a half, as not want to waste. We have planted a seed. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daktari, for those final remarks. Over to you, Anisha.
Children, thank you, Miriam. Children can play as young as they've started having the sensory motor skills, they can move things, to as old as teenagers, but depends again on your relationship with them. It depends again on the relationship with them. If this started early, it can be maintained. If it wasn't, for those who are asking what happened now, it can still repairable. Remember, those maybe you're not there, I'll repeat something called neuroplasticity. That is just the adjustability and flexibility of the brain. It is able to repair around anything that has hurt it. All right. And our children are they're still young, we can still repair. Even you as an adult, until the day you die, your brain is still able to learn and unlearn things. All right. Your neurons are still firing and wiring together. And that is what that matters. And for teenagers, also, there are things you can spend time with them, not necessarily play, but you can spend time with them to check out what do they like doing. Do they like hanging around? What are some of the programs they like watching? There's some games they're playing. Be goofy, be playful with them. Ask them. They'll think you're really silly. Like, by the way, how does this game? How do you play this kind of game? What is X? What do you do with here? Show me. Be interested. Be curious with this age, with this stage. Be curious, but don't be usiku unatafuta kesi like something to attack them with. No, but be curious, like you want to show interest in what they're doing. Spend time with them, play cards with them. We have a lot of indoor games that you can play with them. Check out what they like doing. Play soccer around. Let them tag along. Even washing the car with them. It's also a part of attachment. You don't have to do something very serious with these ones, all right? I hope that I've answered that. Now my closing shot is this, yeah. Your child is not looking for a perfect parent. They're looking for a safe parent. And if you as a parent, you can be firm without being frightening, then you're already doing the best. You're already doing wonderful, right? If you can set boundaries without withdrawing love, and that is why I am against timeouts. Just set your boundaries without withdrawing that love, all right? And one thing also personally I have struggled with, I have teenagers, I have an older boy, older children. The one thing I've struggled with is when I have done a mistake is the part of saying sorry. And I know Africans, we are really, as parents, we really mess up at that. And someone said it's even worse for kissy men. They don't say sorry. Oh, no, actually, Daktari, I think it's you who said that. Being able to repair after mistake and actually looking down and being honest with your child that, you know what, I think mommy shouted at you, but it wasn't your fault, or mommy did a mistake there, and actually apologizing to the child. That is repairing. That is where the neuroplasticity is going to help us, all right? And between this age 2 and 5, they are building the foundation of how they will see themselves, others, and how others will see them, and even they believe in God. So if they believe that people are bad, they're going to believe God is bad because it's God who created people, right? And every time we as parents, we respond with patience instead of panic. Every time we respond with curiosity, as I've told you, instead of criticism, and you connect before you correct, instead of having control, we are shaping a very healthy brain and a secure heart. The goal here of parents is not raising a child who fear us. The goal here is raising a child who trusts us enough to learn from us. And that is grace-based parenting. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anisha, and thank you so much, Dr. Oteyo, for taking us through grace-based parenting in the commanding stage. I think, yeah, I'll just say what the other members have said. Some of us have done wrong. Mimi nimekubali makosa yangu ya timeout. But we still have hope. We can begin practicing timing going forward. So thank you so much. Thank you, members, for attending, and may God continue to bless you. So I'll just give this opportunity to Hulda. Maybe you can be able to close for us with a word of prayer. Hulda, are you there with us? Okay, if she's not there, we'll ask Sam Martin, close for us with a prayer.
Okay, thank you so much to the leaders of the session. We are grateful for the session. Allow me to invite us to pray. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let us pray. Our kind and loving Father in heaven, thank you once more for assembling us before your feet so that we can learn from you. Thank you even for the inspiration from Daktari and also from Anisha. We continually ask that may you continue to inspire us so that we can be able to guide our children in the way that is best for them. Thank you even for the leadership in Creta and for this session. I pray that you may continue to impart in them wisdom so that we can be able to learn as a family. Even as we continue to go into bed and to rest, may you rejuvenate our strength for tomorrow and for the week ahead. This is our humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. We'll meet again next Sunday. May God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.